I came to London in 1960, and my introduction to London gay scene was to go first of all to the White Bear, and then to clubs like the Carousel and the A&B. So you met people, and there'd be a bit of Polari, and you just sort of pick up on it, and it just seemed quite natural. You didn't think, oh, this is a strange language. It was just, I mean, you know, it made sense immediately that you could talk on the top of the bus about this guy and or what you'd done the night before and so on, and no one else around you could understand what you were talking about. So it was just something one acquired without study. I mean, there was no study of it or anything. It's just you'd pick up these words, and then you'd sort of have to ask, oh, what does that mean, you know? And so you'd find your way around Polari. So yes, there was quite a lot of Polari going on in the 60s, but it seemed to tail off, really. I didn't, and then it was completely forgotten, I think, with gay lib and with the whole sort of changed social scene that happened at that time.
You'd be standing there at the bar, say some bar, talking to a gay friend, and you'd notice the person next to him might be listening or you didn't know who they were. So you just slip into Polari. It was much easier because they didn't know what you were talking about then. You'd say, Varda the Ryle on the Cave, you know, bone a dish, bone a cart's goal, and all that stuff, which was meant various things. Especially if it was sexual, you didn't want them to know what you were talking about. And you never thought, oh God, I'm so oppressed, I can't speak about myself. You just did it. You just slipped into it without even thinking, really. You get a sense that this other person might hear your conversation, and you'd both slip into this Polari. I don't mean that every word was Polari, but all the important words, it was mixed up enough with ordinary sort of Cockney English to totally confuse them. They wouldn't know. They think you were foreign or something, because a lot of it is foreign languages came off all the ships in the docks in the East End, and they had all these different words for different things, and they had all different languages mixed up in the Polari. It is quite real. I mean, you really, I say, you know, I didn't bother me much, but those things were just real, and you knew, and you just slipped into the other language, and you just knew things. But it wasn't like, oh, this great terrible thing hanging over me, which eventually, when we liberated ourselves, we realized, yes, it was a fucking drag. The whole thing was terrible and awful, and it made everybody very secretive and very sort of suspicious and so on, and wary, very wary. But once you got that together, it was fine. You know, you had the equipment. It's like, I suppose, suddenly speaking in French if you need to. So it was good to have your own language, and those things are they're forced. They're forced upon you by circumstances. They're not just invented as a camp joke. They're very practical. And I found that very practical when I was, you know, very young, 17, 18, starting to go to bars.